heard, I'm Brenda Wilkerson. I'm president and CEO of AnitaB.org. We're a global women's nonprofit, Women in Tech, and our job is to help make the table where tech is created as diverse as the people it's created for. So we love having this conversation, and I want to say welcome to everybody on the panel tonight. And welcome everybody to TechChicago. It's so great to see so many people out, and I'm hoping that it is your goal as well to make tech as diverse here in Chicago as it possibly can be. So let's get into the panel right away. So I want to ask everybody, just hit the high points of what does diversity, equity, and inclusion mean to you and your company. Why don't you start, Sandra?
Thanks so much, Brenda. I'll definitely take that start. At United, it's all about our people. In 2018, we established the Core 4, which is our service commitment to our customers and our employees. It's based off of 4 pillars: safe, caring, dependable, and efficient. And through that, we screen our employees when they're in the hiring process in order to make sure it's embedded in our DNA. Also across United, we use the term inclusion propels innovation to represent our commitment to how we want to have diversity within the airline. A lot of our offering has been created with a variety of teams that are built of diverse talent. For instance, the Travel Ready Center. It was an innovation that United came up with during COVID, where we had teams of people with diverse backgrounds who came together to create that experience to help to communicate to our customers how they could fly during the COVID time. That's the empowerment of having a DEI initiative. United was also recently recognized by the Women Impact Tech organization by being one of the top 100 companies to drive DEI agenda and initiatives. And at United, we're excited about continuing that journey. We're working on an Innovate program in order to get started doing even more for our talent pool around DEI with that commitment.
Thank you.
Hi, I think for me, it's slightly different. I'm a startup founder. I have 10 people on our team, and I've been a part of the startup ecosystem for the past 15 plus years of my career, and I've never sat at an executive table with anyone that looked like me. I've always been the only Black woman or only woman around that table at times, and so for us at Out of Office, we've always said that we need to make sure that we're building the table that we wish that we would have sat at before. And so diversity and inclusion means that we are building a company full of people that from diverse backgrounds, we're giving people opportunity, and that we're lifting other people up, especially as it relates to the venture community. As a fellow founder, I look around many rooms, and there aren't many founders of color, and so the more that I can do and that our company can do to help lift people up and give people opportunity and the access to the networks that we're able to have is really, really important. And so that's where I start when I think about diversity and inclusion.
That's awesome.
Hello. So at Chicago Blend, again, we're a nonprofit focused on equity in the venture capital community. Our version is a bit unoriginal. We like the definition of DEI by McKinsey & Company. Because diversity, equity, and inclusion often get conflated and they get used interchangeably, but they actually are very distinct concepts. So the version that we go with is diversity is about representation. Do we have representation of different perspectives, different races, ethnicities, different people at different careers in their, or different stages of their career at the table? Equity is really about the fair treatment of people. So are there policies in place that are clear, that are applied uniformly across an organization? Is it clear how people can get promotions? Or is it a matter of whoever's most buddy-buddy with the manager is going to get the promotion? So that's really what equity is about. And inclusion really talks about how the workforce experiences the workplace and the degree to which employers embrace their employees, equip them to be successful. So when you look at these things holistically, this is really a concept that can be applied to an organization. It could be applied to your style of management. It could be applied to an entire tech ecosystem. And I know we're supposed to be brief, but I do just want to take a second and say, because I feel like, especially in the last year, DEI has definitely taken a beating what is, for us at Chicago Blend, just a really good set of best business practices that is not only the right thing to do, but also will enable your company to be more competitive and to be successful.
True.
This framework has all of a sudden become a dog whistle for, hey, if you're a straight white man, we're coming for you. We're coming for your jobs, we're coming for your place at Harvard, and that is absolutely not what it is about. So I just want to take a moment while I had this space to say that that's not what DEI is. DEI is about ensuring that the conditions are in place so that people can truly be judged based on their merit and capabilities.
Yes. Thank you for that, Joey. Thank you. Well put.
Oh man, that's a hard act to follow. So I'll say a little bit about what DE&I means to Adyen, the company that I represent. Right from the inception of Adyen 14 years ago, they wrote down the set of principles or values. It's called the Adyen formula. And a key value there was we bring diverse perspectives to sharpen our thinking. So when you think about it, from right from the beginning, the company really embraced DE&I, even though it didn't call it DE&I. It really was embedded in our DNA, just as you said. But we aren't just stopping there. We actively are trying to partner with other organizations in the Chicagoland area. Examples are Black in Tech, Out in Tech, Techaria, and of course P33, to help us continue to build on our commitment to diversity so we can bring everybody to sharpen our thinking and build the best products so we can all get paid. So that's how we think about it.
Thank you. And Leroi.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. All right, I'm on. So for us over at Discover, we've been very intentional in the DEI space. And we, as an organization, we recognize that diversity is pivotal in attracting and retaining some of the best talent, which allows us to make some of the better decisions, make the best decisions in order for us to serve our customers better. And we have been committed to being involved in trying to make a difference in the lives of our employees, our customers, and the communities that we operate in. In the sense of making sure that we're aligned in the space of creating a brighter financial future for everyone. And from a DEI space, over the past several years, we've ramped up the opportunities for everyone that we reach out and touch on. So I'm gonna keep it brief because I know where we're going in the next segment, and I'm gonna just let everything go on.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. So, Jan, I wanted you to give you the next question. So at P33, and I'm a proud P33 board member, we're creating an ecosystem of nurturing and supporting a world-class diverse tech ecosystem. So, and at AnitaB.org, we care about getting more women into tech. We also know that VC dollars rarely go to women, and in the past, many founders have had to leave and go to Silicon Valley to find dollars. So can you tell our audience what you found unique about Chicago? Why Chicago? What types of opportunities are here for founders, and what's your experience been?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Chicago, in the past 15 or so years that I've been a part of the Chicago startup ecosystem and the venture-backed community, it's completely transformed. There's still a lot of work to do and a lot of room for growth, but it's become a place where outside of Silicon Valley, outside of New York, or even LA, where there's access to capital and access to opportunities that just aren't paralleled across the country. We have a really amazing ecosystem of amazing founders, amazing talent, and amazing funders of people who believe in founders of color, of women and minorities across the board. And I think we have a long way to go. At the end of the day, I say this statistic, I was in one of the first 100 Black women to ever raise over $1 million of venture capital in 2021. And I don't say that to toot my own horn. It's actually a statistic that is really depressing in a lot of ways. There are billions of dollars of venture capital that are deployed every single year. And for me to be in the first 100 to ever raise over $1 million means that we have a long way to go. When we started this company, my co-founder and I, we thought about going outside of Chicago. Do we go to Silicon Valley? Do we go to New York? but we are Chicago through and through, and we believe that we'd be able to figure it out. And with an amazing community of investors like Hyde Park Venture Partners and Hyde Park Angels, we were able to bring a lot of folks around the table. There's an amazing angel investor community here as well, and they're open and looking for amazing talent and opportunities if people are willing to think big and have a big idea and go and pitch those ideas in the venture community.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. So Joey, I want you to follow up on that. Why is it so important that we lead with DEI-centered data when it comes to venture? Once we have that data then, what is the way that we address the gaps that the data shows exists?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer, and this is not an original thought either, but you can't improve what you don't measure, right? So, for Chicago Blend, we started measuring what does diversity look like across the investing class here in the Chicago region. And we've done that for about 4 years in a row now. We compare it to national data. And it's important because it can tell us where we are falling behind and perhaps where we're doing better. And Jan had mentioned earlier about how she was one of the first 100, black women to raise, over $1 million. Yeah, that's kind of depressing. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that although we have an incredible VC community here, I truly think that something like Chicago Blend could not have really happened anywhere else in the country. The truth is, we need to get more people who look like the folks on this stage into investing roles, because if we can diversify who is making investment decisions, then we can diversify who is getting checks. It is a very natural thing, and it might be a hard reality, but the truth is people often will associate with and invest in other people who look like them, who talk like them, who show up in the meeting the way that they expect. And oftentimes entrepreneurs, especially those who are underrepresented, they are coming from a totally different perspective. They talk differently. They're looking at markets in a very different way. They're looking at market opportunities in a different way. And because pattern recognition, although there is some utility to it when you're screening 1 million deals a year, it's when that bias starts to creep in, that's really where we start to get in trouble. So you were asking about why is data important. For us, we look at data to ensure that we're continuing to hold ourselves, our local tech industry accountable, and we can also see how we're doing relative to other communities and ecosystems.
Awesome. That's excellent. So Gayathri, you're obviously a global platform. You've got offices in New York, San Francisco, Toronto. So tell us what drew you to Chicago.
So we're a global company, as you said, and we have 27 offices around the world. So a very large and growing footprint. And we have sales offices in New York and San Francisco. We chose Chicago to build our first major tech hub outside of Amsterdam. And the reason we did this with a lot of thought and a lot of care and using data. And there were some very good reasons we picked Chicago. One, the talent pool. This is a region with an amazing tech talent pool. Look at the universities in Illinois and Indiana that feed our tech ecosystem. Two, we truly believe this is also the place we can get the diverse talent pool that is so critical and so important and so embedded in our value system. And finally, it's just a fun place to be. We have our offices in the West Loop, and we're very much an office-first company. Yeah. And people love to come to the office every day, and who wouldn't want to when you're in the West Loop? So we, as I said, consciously picked Chicago over San Francisco, over New York, because of the people.
So we love that. And I want to take this opportunity to put a shameless plug in for Chicago in that we grow our own in Chicago Public Schools. We were the first district in the country to require a technical education. We added a graduation requirement around computer science to feed all of those wonderful universities. So we're also growing our own. I want to make sure everybody knows that. So, Leroi, I want to ask you next. So, you know, there are lots of challenges we hear about all the time with our Black and brown communities around technology and access. So, Discover's a big company. What types of things is Discover doing to address some of those challenges and barriers?
So the main way that we've been addressing these challenges, well, first, it's a lot of faces in the room today. How many people are actually from Chicago? Okay. Now, how many people are from the south side of Chicago? Okay. All right. Do you remember the Target that used to be on 86 in Cottage Grove? So back in 2019, the city decided to shut down that location and the location on 119th in Marshfield. So what that did, it took a lot of jobs out of the community. So, okay, that was 2019. Now, we all know what happened in 2020. There's no need to bring that back up. So at the end of 2021, here comes Discover. As part of Mayor Lightfoot's Invest Southwest initiative, Discover decided to take on the location of the old Target and turn it into a customer care center, where primarily it started off operating as a call center for the community, and in which we took 84% of the call center agents from within a 5-mile radius. So we wanted to we were very intentional in keeping the local talent and providing opportunities for them. So we did that, and then from there we took it a step further. We decided to create a tech hub and provide opportunities for people in the area that didn't come from that came from a non-traditional background, that didn't have the necessary the initial certifications and degrees. So we created an apprenticeship program. And right now we have 3 teams working on the 4th team. Matter of fact, I see a lot of our apprentices in the room right now. Could you raise your hand?
Excellent.
Okay. So with that initiative, we are currently going through, we've been exceeding expectations. One, from the call center side, it's actually one of the better performing call centers within the company in general. And then even from the technologies, the tech hub side, we're ahead of schedule from the original projections. So I'm excited to see all of our apprentices make it through and start their STEM careers. So again, that's the main way that we've been attacking the challenge, and we've been trailblazing in that space too, because there's a lot of other companies that are doing similar initiatives, but I've literally have seen that we are doing something very special, and this is an exciting opportunity for us.
It is special, and it does set an amazing example. Yes, give them a hand. So, Clasondra, I want to talk to you about your company's vision for how work at United and all of what we're talking about, how does it benefit the residents of Chicago if we make progress?
Definitely, great question. I think it benefits the residents of Chicago in having a diverse talent pool and having people from different backgrounds come together and collaborate to innovate towards decisions that empower companies. United is a hometown Chicago company. And in our program that we're creating called Innovate, where we'll be bringing in over 500 employees from diverse backgrounds, they'll also come from diverse neighborhoods in Chicago. I'm a South Sider. How many South Siders in the audience? I think I already heard a couple of them a little while ago. And I also graduated from 95th and King Drive. I often sat on my house balcony and watched United fly overhead. Through our Innovate program, we'll create opportunities for little Black and brown boys, girls, and others to come and take part in creating technology that will help others see the world. And so that's exciting, and it will help grow different areas of Chicago that are right now underutilized for having great opportunities, such as being at United.
That sounds great. Awesome. Yes, give her a hand. Okay, Jan, this one's for you. Do you think that there are some blind spots or misconceptions that people have regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace? I love how you separated those out, Joey. And what can be done about it? How can we address it specifically for Chicago?
Absolutely. I mean, I could talk about this all day long. I think Joey said, you know, we've made, oh, can you guys hear me now? There we go. What I was saying was, I think that there's a ton of opportunity. I feel like, especially as it relates, you rewind back to 2020 when this became such a topic and it became such a changing topic across tech and across the global workforce. People were talking about D&I all the time. And I think it became a box that a lot of people wanted to check off. And I think it still is a box that a lot of people want to check off. And so you look around a lot of companies and they said that they're doing these initiatives. They say that they're doing these things, and they're not really putting their money where their mouth is. They're doing the work because they have to, not because they believe in the impact that it can make to their organization. And so I truly believe that there are people that are doing the right work. They're getting in these organizations. They're truly making change. But I think it has to be bigger than lip service. I think we've got to talk about it. I think we have to, again, put our money where our mouth is and be people that take action. And so when I think about where I sit, it goes back to what I said earlier, which is I've got to make sure that as I get opportunities and I expand my network, that I bring people that look like me up with me, that I expand their network so that they're able to do that with someone else. I think it's really, really important. And within organizations, I think people need to talk about it more. And I think people need to speak about where we're falling short, where there aren't enough people of color, of different ethnicities, of different sexual orientations around the table, and making sure that it becomes something that we're vocal about on a regular basis. And so I think in Chicago in particular, again, there's amazing people doing a lot of work. We have a long way to go. And I think as it relates to the venture community in particular, I think there was, again, a lot of people back in 2020 who were saying, I'm going to give more money to founders of color, to founders of different sexual orientations. And they stopped. The minute that the macroeconomic environment changed, they went back to what they knew. They went back to what they said that the people that they were more familiar with. And so there's a huge opportunity for us to continue to grow in this space. And I think it has to start again with being vocal about it.
I think it's really important what you say about the opportunity that's getting missed. And so, Joey, I'd love for you to talk about the geographic opportunity. We're here in the Midwest. Again, we talk about how many times the funding is on the coasts. What types of things that you think that could really be impactful to have more opportunity here in Chicago? Or you could even talk about other geographic reasons, but we love Chicago, so let's start there first.
No, definitely love Chicago. There's certainly a lot to love. You know, I mean, you'd made the point earlier about the fact that we have a really diverse talent pool, but also a very highly educated talent pool, which is incredibly valuable, not just to society, but also for the companies that want to locate here, right? So, I mean, that's something that we can certainly celebrate. Unlike other parts of the country, we're also very blessed in that we have a very diverse and balanced economy. World Business Chicago has really great data that measures kind of, it basically shows that no single sector of our economy constitutes more than 13 or 14% of the GDP. That makes us a little bit more recession-proof in some ways, right? But I think that we also fall into, I think there's some element of Midwest nice that really hurts us, and I think we just need to get over that. I think there is a certain element of modesty that can be really nice in terms of interpersonal relationships, but at the end of the day, we are operating in a highly globalized, highly competitive world. And when I look at what other tech ecosystems are doing, and not just on diversity, but even just the innovations that are coming out of those spaces, I mean, we have all the goods here to compete with the best of the best. The way that I like to describe it is that a lot of other places have the sizzle, we've got the steak. So I really think that we need to lean into that, and we need to think about if Midwesterners talked more like New Yorkers, what would we be saying about ourselves? So I think that's one bit of the geography piece. But the other piece of it too is, I mean, like here, you look at all the different organizations that have convened to help host Tech Chicago Week. You've got World Business Chicago, you've got P33, a ton of all the other economic development organizations, universities that all really care about making this a more inclusive, a better tech ecosystem, And we are kind of, I think, at a point in our tech community's maturity where if we make the right decisions now, if we make the investments of time, and if we are intentional now, we don't have to be in a place 10 years from now when we're like, oh shoot, we have a diversity problem. So I think that's the opportunity that we've got.
I love that, and I'm going to use that sizzle and steak thing, if it's okay with you, okay? All right, Gayathri, I'd like to ask you a little bit more about equity. So you've heard all that's already been shared about the challenges and maybe some of the barriers that we're trying to break down here in Chicago. What are some of the challenges regarding equity?
Whoa, sorry.
No. What was that?
That's you.
What was that? Oh, my mic. Sorry about that.
No, not at
Go
all.
ahead.
So challenges around equity in
Just
the
in the tech
Chicagoland.
ecosystem, in the tech ecosystem in general.
So I think it's really important for the tech ecosystem to actually invest in thinking about how you can ensure that you bring in a diverse workforce up to speed so everyone has the ability to be successful. So I want to use an anecdote. It's slightly different. It's outside of this country, but to share a problem that Adyen faced and how we solved for it, because I think there's some really good lessons here. We're a Dutch company, and if any of you have gone to the Netherlands, you'll know that the Dutch speak English fluently. And so Adyen started out really with an expectation that all the employees would be very proficient in English. And then as it scaled and became a global company, it became an imperative to be able to converse in English, because English is the lingua franca for tech and business. But then we hit a roadblock. We were expanding into Brazil, and we did not appreciate that in Brazil, only 5% of the Brazilian population knows English, and only 2% is proficient in English. So from the get-go, we found ourselves in a position where we couldn't attract great, diverse tech talent in Brazil because of the impediments we'd created. So we changed our requirements. We relaxed our requirements around proficiency, hired a lot of the talent, and then within the company, we trained them to become better at speaking English. So they could still be successful like the other English speakers in the company, but we made sure that we helped them overcome the gap. So there's an analog here when you think about building diverse workforces in America. Not everybody comes in with the same experience, the same background, the same skill sets, just because of how they were born, where they were born and how they were brought up. So companies really, and the tech ecosystem overall, really needs to find ways to fill that gap and address the gap.
Yeah.
It's not just about bringing in diversity, it's about making them feel included and really handling equity within the context of the company. And I think we should all do that. So I think the challenge really is ours to solve. It can be done.
That's amazing, and I think that is a great example that everybody can follow. And congratulations to you for doing that. Okay, in the time that we've got left, I have one more question I want everybody to answer. I'm going to start with you, Leroi. What is the vision for your company's impact in this region? And how do you know when you've been successful at making significant progress on that vision?
So for us, I mentioned it earlier that we were trailblazing in the DEI space that we're currently in with the Tech Hub and the Customer Care Center. So what we're doing, we're fine-tuning all the initiatives in the Chatham area, and we want to create a blueprint for other organizations to follow moving forward. And one of the initiatives and things that I am very proud of with the Tech Hub is the fact that we involve our local community partners on a consistent basis, even from a local community partners and our vendors. So we make sure that we use, even when it comes to like the cafeteria, we use the vendors, restaurants out in the area, even from the construction. I think it was 47% of the construction team came from the local area as well. So again, we are looking to trailblaze in that space and hope that other organizations see what we're doing and grow it out from a regional to a national level.
That's awesome. Thank you. Gayathri?
I think we're just at the beginning of the tech ecosystem. We've made strides. There's so much more we can do here. And I think we have the benefit of learning from others who may not have done this really well. And by that I speak, I've spent 20 years in Silicon Valley. There's a lot that that region got right. There's a lot that it didn't. And we get to learn from their mistakes, including thinking about D&I from the outset and really building that into the fabric of everything that we do in the Chicagoland area. So I think there's only potential ahead of us.
Excellent. Me too. Joey?
I think there's a lot of different metrics that you could look at, more capital for underrepresented founders, more exits. But I think in the context of diversity, equity, and inclusion, it's not really, I think we tend to view it as something that needs to be figured out, something that needs to be grappled with. I think when we, as an ecosystem, as a city, get to a point where we look at DEI as a superpower, not something that we have to deal with this problem, then I think we'll have made it. And the other thing that the final thing I'll say is that, and Jan mentioned this too, DEI is not a set of check boxes. It is a behavior. It is a part of your culture, your ethos. It's not like in your marriage, you do a couple steps and you're like, okay, we have a great marriage now, we're done. Right. It's something that you have to work at every single day, just like with your health. You have to work on it every day until you die. And I think that's what organizations, that's what we as a city need to do, it is something that we continuously work on, continuously learn from, and ultimately it makes us better. And it also makes a lot of money for a lot of investors. So that's a good thing too.
Yes, totally agree. And I want to add to that, what we're working on every day when we talk about equity is pay parity. We know the numbers. Women are underpaid, always have been, and that's something that we can change. Each and every individual in this room can have impact on that. Just wanted to throw that in there. Over to you, Jan.
For me, I think it's a lot of different things, but ultimately, I really look forward to the day when I don't have to define myself by the things that are limited by other people. And what I mean by that is, I don't want to have to say I am a female founder, that I'm a black founder, I'm the first to do something. I would love to be the first black founder to build $1 billion company, but I look for the day when that's not the defining factor, that there are many of us, that there are people all around the world from all different ethnic backgrounds that are a part of that community, that we don't have to be limited by it, that you don't have to look to a venture capitalist and ask them how many women of color have you invested in, how many men of color have you invested in, how many minorities have you invested in. I would love it to look like we are equal across the board to everyone in the venture community. And so that's what success looks like for me.
Yeah, I love it.
At United, I think success looks like for us continuing to lean into having our employee base look like our customers. We serve customers from all around the world, and we have seen the benefit of having the variety of diverse ideas and thinking towards making opportunities to help people see the world. And we're excited about our partnerships with companies like P33, Year Up and IC Stars and others to continue that effort, because we know we'll continue to create great opportunities to assist not only our everyday customers, but every one of you in the room that decides to fly with United to help you see the world. And we're excited about that and looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. Well, I just want to thank everybody for coming out today. I want to thank you for being an important part of the ecosystem here, the tech ecosystem here in Chicago, and just making Chicago the greatest place on earth to live. I want you to, if you would join with me in thanking our amazing panel for this discussion today.